This here is the 348C from LensGo. It's a compact wireless microphone system, similar to the Rode Wireless Go 2. And the LensGo offers a couple of interesting features that makes it kind of an interesting option if you're looking to buy a wireless lavalier system. So what exactly makes the LensGo an interesting option? Well, first of all, it comes in a hard case, which also charges all the units inside. And if we take a look inside, we've got the 2 transmitters and 1 receiver. Just like the Rode Wireless Go 2, there's some cables that lets you connect the receiver to your camera or smartphone. And there's a USB-C charging cable and this little, let's see, this little adhesive mount. Now, if these little furry things on top didn't give it away, the transmitters have a built-in microphone, which is great if you want a super compact audio solution. And I see a lot of YouTubers using their wireless systems like this without any additional lavaliers. And if you're one of those people that prefer to use the built-in microphone, the LensGo have a pretty interesting feature that we'll get to in a minute. And by the way, this is what the internal or the built-in microphone sounds like. And from my previous tests, I was actually quite impressed with the sound quality of this little built-in microphone. So now you know what the built-in microphone sounds like. And just like the Rode Wireless Go 2, the LensGo 348C offers internal recording. But instead of using a built-in memory, the LensGo relies on micro SD cards. And the LensGo records regular WAV files, so you don't need any additional software to convert and export your files before you can bring them into your editing software. And I think that's a feature that a lot of you will appreciate. And if you look here, you can see there's actually a little record button. If I can get this into focus, there we go. A little record button on this side. And if you long press that, you will start and stop the recording. And you can also mute the microphone, both the internal and if you have a lavalier connected, you can mute those by tapping the power button on the side. Another really interesting feature with the LensGo 348C is the magnetic clip. Now, the magnetic clip allows you to position the transmitter more discreetly if you're wearing clothes like t-shirts or if you're wearing a dress that don't offers a lot of mounting options. In those cases, the transmitter usually ends up being mounted up here, and that turns out looking like this often. So with the LensGo, you just detach the clip, place it underneath the fabric and snap it into place, and you will have no more of these sagging collars, which happens to be one of my favorite features with the LensGo, and a feature that probably will make me use this with the internal microphone even more. Another added bonus of the magnetic clip is that you can now rotate the transmitter in any direction on the clip to make sure that the internal microphone always points in the right direction. Now the receiver have the same type of magnetic clip as the transmitters, but on the receiver I don't see it as something positive because the receiver or the transmitter tend to rotate around a bit on the clip, and this may affect your signal if the receiver is kind of accidentally turned away from the direction of the transmitter. I took a tiny piece of lens cloth and placed it between the magnet and the receiver, and that made it a lot stiffer. The range is listed as 229 feet or about 70 meters, but LensGo recommends that you stay within about 100 feet to 30-35 meters to get the best results. Now, I'm not going to do a range test where I walk away from the camera and ask if you can hear me, because these have internal recording, and that kind of makes a range test super uninteresting, and it also, removes all the potential issues with any interference and those kind of problems. So sorry. Now let's take a look at the receiver, and as you can see, there's a display on the front that shows you things like audio levels, battery and output mode and those kind of things. And kind of a little note on the meters on this. They're not very precise or accurate. If I place the microphone just up to my mouth like this, I don't get more than 2, sometimes 3 bars on the meters. I don't know if it's just my unit that I received that's a bit slow, or if this is something they're gonna address with the future firmware update. I contacted LensGo about this yesterday and I haven't heard back from them yet, but when they reply, I will make sure to put their answer in the description or as a comment of this video. The receiver can also be toggled to output a mono or a stereo signal, and I prefer to always have my receiver set to output a stereo signal, especially when I'm using 2 transmitters, because that allows me to record both microphones onto separate track, which gives you a lot more control in post. When it comes to battery life and charging time, a full charge will give you about 7 hours of use. But if you use the internal recording, that time will be cut to about 3.5 to 4 hours. And a charge takes about 1.5 hours, and you can charge each component individually with the USB-C cable, or you can just stick them into your charging box. Also reach out to LensGo about the latency of the system. If you watched my previous video on the Rode Wireless Go 2, you know that all of these wireless systems have some degree of latency, and depending on how much latency, it can sometimes cause some issues in some situations. So when I receive that information, I will put that together with the firmware update and all that. If you're thinking about buying a lavalier as well to go with your wireless system, my favorite lavalier right now is the new Rode Lavalier 2, and I will put my review video of that lavalier on the end screen here somewhere, so you can take a look at that if you're interested. But all in all, I think the LensGo is an interesting option if you compare it to a bit more expensive system like the Rode Wireless Go 2 that offers internal recording but don't give you a charging box, or if you compare it to the Saramonic 500 Pro B2, I think it is, that don't offer any internal recording. I think this might be a happy medium between the two and at a slightly lower price as well. Well, that's it. I had a great time hanging out with you today, and I hope you did too. Don't be afraid to hit the like and subscribe so we can hang out again. Well, thank you for watching. Bye!